Hello, everyone. Before we start the podcast, I'd like to mention Pro Political Gear. Check out propoliticalgear.com for your political apparel today. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Pro Political Pod. I am your host, Chris Caputo. Alongside me, my co-host, Andrew Kornick. And like usual, we got news to share.
Let me be clear.
You peddle false narrative.
Sexy boo.
We'll see who cancels who.
Watch me.
So, to start off for today, unfortunately, a 6-year-old boy has been shot for going to the wrong house. He was trying to pick up his siblings on his way home in Kansas City, and he got shot for it. And he got shot by an 84-year-old man. And he just rang the doorbell. Nothing else. And that's it. I mean, this is really like crazy. And the shooter, he is being charged with 2 felony counts. It's like, what's going on? Like, he's at the door. He just rang the doorbell and you going to shoot him? He's one kid. I don't understand how it goes, but
I don't know, like, it's hard, like, we don't really know, like, I mean, the police asked him, like, what happened, basically, and his version was basically that he was, like, scared for his life because he thought this kid was breaking into his house. He's like, this is a really big kid, which, you know, to me, like, the dude's 84 years old, and, I mean, I don't know, it became kind of apparent to me he definitely had some racial prejudice, because it was, like, a young black kid. He's 16 years old. And normally I wouldn't default to assuming something like that, like at least not explicitly, but it's pretty clear. I mean, because he's just like he rang the doorbell and he came out, and what you didn't mention was that it's not like he like shot him one time and then was like, oh my god, and then did whatever, but like he shot the kid. The kid's like already on the floor, and I believe he shot him again.
that's
So
just
like,
insanity.
yeah, like I think that kind of trespasses like a claim of self-defense. I mean, I'm no legal expert, so I mean, I guess what they find out, what they find out. If it's not racism, I mean, it might be like some kind of mental illness, or like this guy clearly just shouldn't have a gun.
He's 84 years old. I understand, as an old man, you probably get scared of who's at your door if you don't know anybody, but to come out with a gun and just say, I'm just going to start shooting without anything in mind, asking questions or anything. Like, he's a 16-year-old boy.
Yeah.
And just kind of crazy how that arises, but that happens, I guess. We've seen a lot of people shot innocently, right? There's no reason for them to get shot, and they just get shot. And thankfully, I believe this boy is still alive.
Yeah. It really sucks though, because it's like when you have shots like that. I mean, if you live, it's a miracle, but it's gonna be something you have to live with for like ever, right?
Oh, of
Something.
course.
No, I think they said like a lifetime recovery for him. So I mean, it's good that he is recovering. I'm sure the shooter is gonna be charged pretty heavily, especially in this climate. I mean, there's a lot of protests because the way Missouri law works is when there's a crime, they'll detain the person for like a couple hours and then we'll release them as they investigate more, like under I think it's like house arrest or something to that effect. So I mean, it's good. They're following procedure, but of course people are gonna be angry that like, oh, you're letting this guy go. But I think regardless, they were gonna definitely put some charges on him.
Where's he gonna go? He's 84 years
The
old.
initial charges, he was released on bail, but they're gonna come back with stuff stronger.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, definitely.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially the kids' parents. I mean,
yeah.
they've already appeared on like national TV talking about the situation. So, it's definitely like a kind of like a constant fear that that black people in particular kind of feel with a lot of this stuff. Because it's like, people look at you and they assume like, oh, you're dangerous or you're this, you're that. And it doesn't have to be explicit. I mean, I'm sure there's context that 84-year-old man lived through where, he's probably around black people and didn't think, oh, this guy's dangerous or whatever. But, he was definitely probably socialized to feel that way subconsciously at some point if he was to have that kind of reaction to a black teenager being outside his house.
He was trespassing.
Yeah,
But the
you,
guy, if you look at the guy, all right, he looks like a Resident Evil character. He doesn't look normal. And you could tell sometimes with how a person looks and how they treat themselves sometimes, how a person can act. And this guy does not look like he's in a normal state of mind. So for him to have a gun, for him to do what he did, for him to go to jail at 84 years old, I mean, I don't see a reason for him to go to jail. I think he should, in fact, just go downstairs to his basement, maybe get a rope or something, because this guy, there's no reason to do what you did at 84 years old, or just to die in your sleep.
it's a little bit ironic considering what we'll be talking about later, but yeah.
Yeah, I know. But it's one of those things when you're 84 years old. It's like, why would you do that? Like, you're gonna spend the last minutes of your life, behind bars. Like it doesn't make sense. Just find a building, jump off, because that's exactly what you're doing. You're wasting your life. You're wasting your life away. You just did it.
Yeah, and I mean, he definitely like destroyed any kind of legacy that he would have among his like community or whatever.
Oh, absolutely.
Unless he's like, I don't know, unless he's
But
in like a
look,
weird community. But
maybe he has dementia or something. Maybe to a point where maybe he can't go to jail and stuff like that. So I don't want to go off and be like, oh yeah, this guy should just jump off a building. But if he was in the right state of mind, you know what I mean, then he probably should, just to save his years and be like, all right, that's it. There's no point staying in this cell, because guess what? You killed or you shot someone, and if you said twice, okay, but he was a 16-year-old boy who didn't do anything, you're most likely getting more years in jail than you are to live for the rest of your life at 84 years old. You're not getting a slap on the wrist. You're not getting, 6 months or, something like that. No, you're going away for life. And if you're 84 years old.
We don't know for sure.
Yeah, but this guy is not gonna. You think he's just gonna have 2 years and that's it?
Never know.
I mean, I guess you never know. I guess that's right. We've seen a lot of people escape jail just because they have really good lawyers and all that. And I mean, look, isn't Bill Cosby out? He pleaded guilty and he just walked away, right? He's not even in jail anymore.
Yeah, I mean, he's very wealthy guy though. So.
But it's like still the law at work, right? Listen, hopefully the family is doing well. Hopefully the kid is doing well. And we just got to hope that this doesn't happen again. Spoiler alert, probably will, unfortunately. But that's how life works. So we're just going to have to maneuver with it until, I guess, you want to propose a bill saying people with mental health can't have guns, or because we don't know. I don't know his condition. I don't know if he has like any issues, but if he does, I mean, it's a push for more or enhanced background checks on owning weapons. So people that own weapons should be should have a responsibly should be responsible for what they have. You have the responsibility to keep that gun safe and to use that gun when needed. Situations like this was not needed. So, and that's all I have to say for that.
Yeah, well said. I mean, it's just people just need to have better responsibility with their weapons, and maybe there should be restrictions on some people, who have, whether it's like their mental health is deteriorating at their age, or they're young and have some kind of problem or whatever, or maybe they're too young. There's a lot of things. Actually, it's something we've debated a while ago, not on the show, of course, but about the idea of like if having a gun in your house actually makes you safer. because there's this one of the tropes that people will say when it comes to like pushing for like being pro-gun is saying, oh, like if you have a gun, if someone breaks into your house, like then that means you're safer because you have a gun to defend yourself. When there's actually studies that show that having a gun in your house actually makes your house less safe usually, unless this person's really like trained with the gun. But there's a lot of examples. I think this is a pretty good example of, the guy just assumed like, oh, this guy's outside my door, maybe because he's black. But even that aside, I mean, he assumed wrongfully that this guy was gonna like, break in or whatever, so he shot him. And I mean, that's not the only way it can go wrong. I mean, there's also just the fact that most people keep guns like isolated in safes or whatever. So you're not always gonna know when someone breaks into your house, like actually. So you're not really gonna know to defend yourself. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I can definitely agree with the whole safe situation. And something that is also to keep in mind is that if you have kids in the house, you would definitely want to like, keep that locked and sealed away, because
Yeah, I mean
we've
I think
seen
that's what
like,
most people would do by
yeah,
default.
we've seen school shootings where it's just like, or just mass shootings, where a kid will literally take the parent's weapon because they weren't responsible for it,
Yeah,
and
that's been a couple of them.
yeah, and they didn't keep it locked away, and or maybe they trusted their kid or whatever the situation was, but a lot of them will lock it away, so when someone comes in to invade your home, you may not be prepared for it. I mean, I personally, I like I said, I'm pro Second Amendment on that. I believe that if you want a gun, you should get the gun if you're going to have it to protect
Yeah,
your
it's not
home,
to
to
say
protect yourself.
they shouldn't have
um
it, but it's not as ironclad of a defense as people would lead to believe. Is my
yeah,
point.
no, but I think that still people should have one just in case. I mean, you can have a knife. I mean, we talked about what, the
My
last
last
episode on the
episode,
show.
yeah,
Yeah, the last episode was a lot of it was on
a lot
gun
of it was
rights.
about. Yeah,
Well, at least the ones that aired, because 40 minutes of footage, unfortunately, because of my computer, you know, we don't have the rest. But most of it was on owning a gun, right? And pro Second Amendment on it. If people want guns to feel safer about themselves, and they pass all the background checks, and if there's an enhanced one where you can figure out, listen, if they have a mental health issue and all that, they can't have the gun, and that's really it. If you have the gun, then have the gun, buy it, sure, why not? Uh, I'm for it. I'm for people to definitely have guns in their house. Are you for for people to have guns in their house? Like,
of course. Yeah,
all
I'm not
right,
saying I'm not, but I'm just saying like there's more to gun ownership than owning a gun. My point.
okay.
I think people should like, because people I think kind of have this idea like, oh, like just give more people guns, but that's not really the only side to it.
Mm-hmm.
And also, like having a gun isn't the only, like, yeah, like having a gun isn't the only thing that makes you safe. It's my point, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Makes sense. Um,
Kid or move on.
yeah, I'm ready to move on.
Speaking of people who are really old, Diane
Oh, speaking of people
Feinstein,
who really need to move on,
she is,
from her position. I mean, from her position. I just realized it sounded wrong. From her
yeah,
position.
Diane Feinstein is a 89-year-old senator.
Hmm.
She's been mayor, or she was the mayor of San Francisco, California, from the years 1978, 1988, and a couple years after her mayoral being mayor. I don't know why I said that. Like she ran for that long. She was the mayor from that time.
Hmm.
She was a senator from 1992 to today. A nice little what is that? 31 years in the Senate after already serving political office. So she's really one of the oldest people. Is she the oldest
She has to
senator
be.
right
She's
now?
89 years old. I mean, if any older
They've
than
actually
that, they
like
gotta go.
in the early 2000s they had senators that were like 103.
103.
Yeah, I was reading about. I think he was one of the last like Dixiecrats, which is like basically like a Confederate aligned Democrat. Like He was like, I think died in like 2003. He was like over 100 years old. It's crazy,
We
but
should
back
not have anyone that are in their hundreds, let alone
back to
89. Yeah, all right, we'll get into
Feinstein
that,
now.
but
So she's really old. She caught shingles recently because she's old and more susceptible to sicknesses. And now there's kind of like a political scandal going on. There's progressive Rokana in the House who said that she should resign, and of course, there's like liberal Democrat like, oh well, you can't say that she's like a woman, that's sexist, whatever. So it's kind of like a whole kerfuffle right now. She's also one of the members of the Senate Judiciary Committee. So she's in charge of kind of voting on judges that Biden nominates. And the Democrats, of course, in the Senate want to replace her. Now the Republicans are kind of doing everything they can in the classic Republican way, especially when it comes to judges, blocking that, basically saying like, oh well, we don't like who Biden's going to nominate, so we're going to basically not let the majority party, do it, choose like a replacement for her to advance this. So they're kind of using the fact that this person is sick to block progress
well, when
when
you're
it
in the
comes to the judiciary.
opposition, of course you're gonna block them. That just makes sense politically.
Well, yeah, it doesn't make sense politically, but I mean, it's wrong. I think so, at
I
least,
mean,
because they want to block the judges that aren't like insane anti-abortion, whatever. But it's my opinion. So yeah, that's kind of the state of things right now. I believe she said that she's not running for re-election because there are a lot of Democrats running in her
I'd
seat
hope
right
not.
now. Yeah. Personally, of the ones that have announced, I think Katie Porter's pretty cool. She's like another progressive in the House who's though does she represent a swing district. That's the only issue, I guess, with her being the one. And she's wins pretty convincingly, running on like kind of like pro worker type stuff, which is stuff that I can get behind. There's a lot of viral
Oh,
videos of her kind of like with the chalkboard with like a lot of the like really corporate guys basically being like, oh, why do you like underpay your workers? Why do you price gouge people in healthcare? It's really cool stuff if you haven't seen it. It's Katie Porter,
I've
but
seen
you
actually
have because
recently.
you show it
No,
to me.
yeah, I did see that one, but I saw one recently where she was actually on your favorite show, Bill Maher,
Uh-oh.
and Bill Maher had two guests there with Katie Porter and your other favorite, Piers Morgan.
Okay. Well, that's your
So,
favorite
oh, well,
too, but
we have to watch it one day. We have to watch
yeah.
that whole skit. But anyway, something happened there where she was on, and I think she was getting some negative feedback from there. I didn't get to see the whole thing, but you mentioned Katie Porter, and I was like, oh wow, I forgot. I have to mention that to you. But yeah, she was on the show. It was something with getting the younger vote. I don't know. Did you see anything on that?
I have not seen that, no.
Oh man, yeah, it was something with getting the younger vote, and she said that they're immature, but went back on and said, no, they're not immature. She didn't mean it like that. It was just like a funny little thing, but I
Okay.
think
I
that
mean,
she was getting some
usually
negative
someone
stuff.
with
Yeah.
with her kind of politics would naturally kind of attract younger voters, so that'll definitely be interesting to watch. But I don't know
Yeah.
anything about it. I mean, she could have said the
I
craziest shit
just saw
ever.
like a very small clip about it. I was like, I gotta watch it with Andrew. But
But
you
out of
brought up
those
her
three
name,
people, I
so
think she would have the pulse on the young voters much better than the other two. Just
what?
assuming.
Bill Maher and Piers
And
Morgan?
yeah.
Your favorites. I know that they're your favorites.
But yeah. Though back to Feinstein, I mean, she's really old. She's kind of it's funny. On Twitter there was like some I guess more like center left kind of liberal who was like, oh, like she should resign. The Feinstein that was mayor wouldn't like this, and then all like in the replies were like leftists like posting like apparently when she was the mayor was so long ago that the Confederate flag was really like hung outside of her like office, like the city council or whatever at the time. So there
Well,
was like mass protests to get it down like around that period of time. I don't really know the dynamics, but it's just like a funny thing that happened. I don't know.
wow, that's
She's
crazy.
historically been like a pretty corporate style Democrat, to my understanding. So I mean, if they place her, it's fine. You know.
Yeah. I mean, they should replace her just based on her age.
Yeah. Well, I
Like,
guess that goes
you
into
know.
like debates about like term limits and age limits for elected officials. I mean,
Oh yeah.
I think I would be fine with like a cognitive test for them.
I wouldn't say a cognitive test. I don't know. Didn't Biden pass a cognitive test? Doesn't mean that he's good to go.
I mean, I think it's fine. I don't know.
It comes to a
I think
point
he's
though,
better
right?
than she is though, because she like literally like looked
I
at everything.
I don't know. I mean, but she's older though. Don't forget she's older.
Well, yeah, that's my point
But
though. Like,
don't you
I think
think
there's
someone
more of an
that's
argument
89
there.
years old should be in office?
I
Don't you
mean,
think there's gonna be a limit there?
if they're there, then why not?
Like I don't think a 90-year-old person should be
I don't know.
influencing my life.
It's
It's not like they're Yoda, right? Where
it's
they
like a hard
live
thing
for
though, because
X
it's
amount
like
of years, they have all this wisdom, and they're still alert about things. It's like they're just human beings that need
I feel
care.
bad for
They
her,
need
like that she's so
care.
old and like messes all this stuff up. But I don't dislike her for being old and senile. I dislike her for being like corrupt.
And
You know?
that's fine, but
I
again,
think that's something that should be focused on more because like I feel like a lot of people when they talk about like age limit or like term limits and when they talk about like lowering the max or giving a max age to be like an elected official, it kind of feels like a band-aid solution because they want to talk about like, oh, corruption is the problem. And it's like, okay, I mean, yeah, it would probably get rid of the corrupt people we have right now, but then they would just get replaced with like a million like
young.
Pete Buttigieg's, you
Yeah,
know?
that's true. No, absolutely. I think
So
it's a
it's
band-aid
like
issue.
I
And
think that yeah, the corruption's the more poignant thing. And then after that, I mean, if there's still like a bunch of senile people who don't know what they're doing or where they are, then yeah, give them a cognitive test.
I
That's
think
what I
that
would think.
I think that is also you don't want to limit because you want to hope that Bernie runs for
I
2024.
don't think he's gonna
No,
run.
no, I know it's in the bag. Marianne Williamson, I know. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no need for Bernie to run. They screwed him twice. They screwed him twice. There's no reason to, but
Yeah,
I
and
definitely think
I
that
think
there's got to be some age limit.
I
I
think
think
his
so.
reputation among like the Democrat voter base is bad enough, like in the right places, for it to just block him, even if he was like 5 years younger.
Hmm.
Maybe I don't know, but it's tough because there's a lot of disinfo about Bernie among like liberals.
Oh yeah, well, liberals don't like him. They like they
Some do, but
A lot
there's
of
a lot that
liberals though, they'll take their morals
so
and they'll push
it's
that, but then it'll be the same thing that like Bernie would say. But
it's like the more
you know what I
wealthy
mean?
liberals I like hate him, you know?
Oh, well, liberal elites or just
Yeah.
wealthy liberals?
I
There's a
guess
bit of a
a little bit of
difference.
both, a little bit of
A
both.
little bit of both. Okay.
Like
All
all of
right.
the elites hate him, and then like a good portion of like the people who are generally wealthy like kind of dislike him, I would say.
Hmm.
Because but the thing is, because a lot of them they follow what the elites do, because you know.
I like I said, there's got to be a limit though. Even if I were to like the person's policy, I would
I
still
think
say
that
like,
limit should be
listen,
up to the people who vote, though. That's my thing.
oh man, but then we're stuck between. Look what happened with Biden and Trump. It's like now you got two old dudes, and they're gonna do it again. They're
Well,
about
it's
to
the
do it
same.
again.
It's the same thing though. Like we were talking about a little bit last week with Steve and them, where it's like, I think the problems that lead to that is a lack of democracy, not too much of it. I think that people just aren't like one. I mean, there's so much corruption and propaganda that just isn't true, and two, it's just a matter of like people's votes aren't represented. A lot of like accurately, and not enough people are voting. So there's a lot that goes into it.
Well, I will tell you this. This but just I think that ranked choice voting does help.
Oh yeah,
Number
that's
one,
another thing that could help, like vote just general voter reform, like ranked choice would
I
be
was
really good.
at I was at CPAC and they were having a thing saying ranked choice voting is bad. And I was curious to know why. I should have went to the booth and really asked them about it because I was genuinely curious.
I mean, I could
And if
tell you
I
why.
Oh, I know, but I want to know from like what they would say about it.
They would say what I would say, but like in a more like conspiratorial way,
Probably.
which is that it makes Republicans like guaranteed to lose, like the current version of the Republican Party guaranteed to lose.
But it's like, is it? Would it think about it. Hold on.
Look at
Give me a
Alaska.
sec. Let's
Look at
look
Alaska.
at. Okay. All right. But if you would do, let's say, 4 presidents on there, let's say, or 4 candidates, I mean, running for president. Let's say Trump, Biden, I don't know, some libertarian as some Green
And
Party
a Green.
candidate. Yeah. And you
I think
put
a
them all
Democrat
on a
would
list.
sweep in that in most cases.
Okay, but what would they do
What do you mean?
if
Like, what
if
would
that
people
were to
do?
happen? Yeah.
I
You
mean,
don't.
I think it would definitely create momentum towards one of the third parties.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's good, but the thing is that Republican, especially at CPAC, Republican partisans now aren't going to give two shits about that.
We
They
we
just want to be the ones to win.
we can't forget about the birthday party and the forward party.
True.
Does he still? Is that what Yay is running on now? Is
I
it is
don't
it still
know.
called the birthday party? I don't
He
even
should
know
just
what
run
he's
as a
doing.
Republican just to be on the debate stage. That'd be funny.
That would be great. I would love that. I really would. I just sit there. I mean, I'm already sitting there with popcorn. Me and Andrew love debates. We love watching the debates. We love all this boring stuff. Um, because I mean,
I
it's
feel like
just
most people
not.
don't even think it's that boring these days because there's so much crazy shit happens.
There's so much stuff that happens on a debate stage, and it's like to see the Republican Party like have theirs. It's like we had the popcorn ready for the Democratic one. Now we're gonna have it for the Republican one. So it's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
It's
So it
really gonna
might
be
be a little
something.
disappointing, but we'll talk about that in a bit.
Yeah. Oh,
But
disappointed for this
the
next guy.
Republican. Well, no, a little bit after. This
Oh,
next
okay.
guy. So I don't know if you know this, but me and Chris do have a favorite Republican. His name's George Santos.
Actually, I thought it was Perry Johnson. What happened?
Well, he's not elected Republican. He's just
Oh,
like a rich guy
our
running for
favorite
president.
elected official. You're right. You're right.
It's definitely George Santos by a mile and a half. This guy is
Oh,
hilarious. I think he represents the Republicans so well. He's also from our home state, or where I grew up, where he still lives, New York City, or New York
I think
State.
he's in Long Island. I think that's where he ran. I'm not too
I
sure.
mean, it makes sense. Like, they're kind of wacky down there.
Wacky. I don't know. I don't know if Long Island's wacky. I actually like
They're
Long Island.
pretty
Long Island's pretty
wacky.
cool. I don't know.
But
Listen,
no
you're this
offense to any
place where
Long
you're
Island
at
people.
now. I gotta say, the place
I,
where you are now, they're very wacky. So
they're more wacky. They're definitely more wacky. But Long
Long
Island's more
Island's more
wacky.
wacky than where you are in
No, where
Massachusetts.
I'm at is more
Oh,
wacky, but they're
that's
a
what
little
I
more wacky.
thought. Yeah, New Yorkers may be weird in a way to some people, but we're normal. We're completely normal compared to everyone
But
else.
back
Back
to
to
our goat,
Santos. Yeah, back to Santos.
George Santos. He is running for re-election, which is amazing because this guy was into getting elected and came out that he's like a colossal liar. The entire New York Republican Party wants this guy to resign. He has all these criminal investigations from Brazil, from his campaign finances, and he's like, "Nope, I'm standing up to the big man. I'm gonna run for re-election, just like Daddy Trump."
I cannot believe that. And you know what's going to be crazy if he actually were to win. I don't think he will, and
I don't see it, but it would
I
be
don't see it
really
either.
funny.
It's
I hope he wins the
hilarious that he's
primary
even
though,
doing it.
because he might win. He could win the primary, legitimately, because
I don't know. Republicans want him gone though, but maybe because he's
well,
in the
I think the elected
news.
Republicans, it's weird. I don't know enough about how the state Republican Party works in New York, like precisely, but they're pretty Trump aligned. And Santos from jump being put in, he was he sucked up to McCarthy, to the Trump people. He's pretty all in.
Mhm.
So I think he's kind of banking on getting an endorsement to at least ride out the primary. I don't know, because
I
that's
mean,
really. And then from there, who knows?
yeah,
It's we don't really know what's gonna happen in 24 already with a lot of these congressional and Senate races.
oh, absolutely. It's definitely gonna be interesting. I mean, George Santos is an interesting human being as it is. I mean, you went through the list a few episodes ago on the stuff that he lied about, and it's tremendous. I mean, you could do a quick Google search, and you will find a list longer than the amount of stuff that we could talk about on this show. I mean, it's that long, and he's not a normal politician. It's like politicians lie, but this guy just is an all out liar. I can't describe it any other way. I don't think there is another way. And this guy's crazy. with how much of his background he lied. And I saw part of the Piers Morgan interview, and it's just hilarious. If you saw it, you know what I'm talking about. Or if you know some of the stuff he lied about, I mean, he lied about taking care of animals, the college he went to, the high school he went to. He said he got a degree, never got one. All these other
Like,
things. It doesn't end. It just keeps going. And it's like, oh, and then he goes, oh, well, it came out that he did drag in Brazil, and he went by a different name, and it wasn't the name of his drag name; it was like a different name. Then he said it went by Anthony instead of George. Then it was really just a mess. Like the guy has like so many different names, so many different identities. You don't even know what you're getting. So it's interesting that he's even running because, like Andrew said, the guy is hated by most Republicans. He was there actually where Trump was getting arrested or wherever the situation was in the city, and I mean he got booed out by everybody. I mean Marjorie Taylor Greene did, but like these are people you expect to get booed in New York. I mean it's not like they're loved. Um,
well,
it's
especially in the city too, because it's
and
not like
yeah, of course, you know it's kind of like bringing Pelosi to Ohio. It's like you're never gonna get like what cheers are you going for there? Like you're not gonna get any. So I mean, this guy is really something, and he's really fun to cover. Every single time we cover him, I think me and Andrew have a blast. Our every time we see him in the news or he falls onto our Twitter feed, just a nice big smile on our face. And I would love to have him on the show one day to talk to him about like what stuff he wants to do to better the I don't know, I believe the county or the state, um, especially because I'm from New York. So it'd really be interesting what he would want to do. But man, always with a smile on our face for that. So,
absolutely.
oh yeah,
But in less happy Republicans, we have Ron DeSanctimonious, Ron DeSanctus, Meatball Ron,
Meatball Ron. I
been in
like
the
Meatball
news for
Ron.
a lot of reasons. To start, I mean, he's been kind of at this war with Disney for the past year. I guess the quotation's a little bit of exaggeration. He's been doing a lot of stuff against
No,
them.
he's been at war with Disney. I don't think you have to do quotation marks.
Yeah. I use it just because, for the most part, it's kind of weighed in Disney's favor. I think both in terms of the general public's perception, and in terms of just what's actually happening. I think Disney's kind of has an advantage right now with this whole situation. If you don't know, I mean, since basically last year, Florida's been going in an increasingly more socially conservative, far right direction when it comes to schooling and
And
things of
schooling
that
there,
nature.
also to say, it was never good in Florida
Yeah, well, I
for
mean,
the longest time.
they just want to impose restrictions and threats on LGBT people, and Disney was kind of forced, because I remember this was kind of like a scandal, because for a while Disney was kind of neutral on it, and the workers in Florida like that worked at Disney basically protested them to kind of be for against, like saying they were against it and stuff. But I mean they did it, and DeSantis kind of went like kind of all in against Disney. I think there already was like a negative perception that him and other people on the right will do, because Disney has been doing more like socially progressive things in their films, like more and more. You could debate the extent to which that's like for anything other than like to, get a couple extra bucks out of like or more attention. That's like a whole separate thing. This really lies basically in the fact that Disney for the past 50 years essentially has been like a literal part of the state of Florida, like in the sense where they're like a town essentially. The Ruddy Creek, uh, yeah, they like they're literally like, I think it's like untaxed and all this stuff, and DeSantis made moves to kind of remove their status, though I think they circumvented it, and it's basically been like a really big back and forth. Actually today they had a meeting with they established a new board for the was it for the creek? And I don't really. It's probably just to discuss it, but the TLDR is that DeSantis basically replaced the people that were here already with, but support him basically in his causes to be more favorable. To the extent that really hurts Disney's bottom line is yet to be seen, though. I mean, yeah, that's really all we know right now.
Yeah. DeSantis has been battling Disney for a while, and I think it's really a lot on the woke war, right?
Yeah,
Like,
that's kind of the core of it. I mean, like, if you want to really see the details, there's a lot of videos on it online, but the basic point is that this really is just like about the culture war, essentially. You know, like they're against his bill. They have movies with like gay people in it now. That's kind of what they want to focus on, you
those
know.
movies haven't been doing so well. I've been seeing reports that they haven't been doing as well
Um,
comparatively. I mean, they don't forget they changed back their CEO to Bob. They gave him back the job.
Bob Iger.
Uh,
Yeah, there is one movie in particular. I know I forget the name of it. I don't keep up with Disney films like that these days, but they do. There was one film that bombed. I'm pretty sure, but I think that's less to do with like trans inclusion and more just with like how they market certain films over others and just the general direction they've been going in creatively. Like, there's a lot of things at play when it comes to media, and I think kind of trying to say it's because they're too woke or not woke enough, it's really not going to get you anywhere because people don't really watch movies for that. But it also, if a movie has like a pretty progressive message, people aren't against it usually.
well, I don't know. They haven't apparently those movies haven't been doing so hot. So
Well,
maybe it
there's
does
one
play a
in
role.
particular, but other examples, I mean, they try to call it woke because it'll have like a scene with like a character that's gay or a character that's black. It's like that's
Well,
not really
there's
woke.
some
That's just
parents out
like
there that don't want to show their kids that. And I
yeah,
mean,
but the
who
majority of
I know
them,
whatever
the
you
majority of
feel,
them
but I'm
do.
just saying, like, there are parents out there that don't want to, bring their kid and be like, all right, well, if there's two girls kissing or two guys kissing, it's kind of like, oh,
But there's
well,
always those
you
parents are
know,
always gonna exist though. Like
of
like
course they
they're
exist.
gonna say stuff like that regardless. Like there's parents who got mad when they had black characters. There's parents who got mad at like SpongeBob for being gay. Or for being gay, like not really, but like that's stuff that just happens.
No, but I think this is bigger than that. I think it's bigger than, the SpongeBob thing that you
I think you could
depicted.
say it's bigger,
I mean,
but
yeah, it definitely is. Because
at the
SpongeBob
same, but
didn't
it's not.
bomb. SpongeBob did not bomb. These movies
That's my
bombed.
point, though. But it didn't bomb because that stuff doesn't matter. Is my point.
So
To the
why did
extent that
it?
that's a detriment, there's other reasons why it would be a detriment that isn't
I
just like,
mean,
oh.
look, you're right. It could be on marketing because they do market some of them better than others. I get
And
it.
also the majority of representation, specifically gay representation in Disney media, is done in a very subtle way. Like it's done in a way that they can censor it and change it in other regions of the world, and I'm pretty sure the performance of the films tracks globally. So the versions that are less woke do about as well as they would where they're more woke. So I feel like it's really less to do with that and just more just the merits of the films and the deteriorating quality of Disney films.
Well, it could be the quality, and it could also be people here that's woke, so they don't want to go. They don't
Well,
want to bring their
yeah, I
kids
mean,
there.
you could
So
say
I
it's
mean,
both,
there's
but I
that.
think I
I
think
think it's
one
both.
just matters more than the other.
Well, you can say that, but I think it's both. I think what people hear and what they see and what they want their child to see, I think plays a big role. I think it really does. When you tell your kids, like, I mean, I don't know how we'll see it with something like a Mr. Beast. I mean, you see what's going on there, and some people are saying, oh, well, I wouldn't want. Well, the only people I really see right now are like a lot of the, not just conservative leaning, but like these big conservative commentators saying, well, I won't let my kids look at Mr. Beast again, or they're gonna have to wait to a certain age, which, I mean, it's pretty different, but at the same time, a little bit in the same category here. Um,
Yeah. But to
but
that too, I mean, that just shows that it's like most people aren't really like they don't care enough.
I mean, yeah.
Like,
I think when it
sure, there
comes to
are people
Mr.
who
Beast,
do,
Mr. Beast is
but
probably gonna still have his views because don't forget, watching Mr. Beast is free. You got to pay money to go see one of these woke movies, as we call them.
and also Disney's
So,
a lot more
you know,
than just the movies. I mean, obviously the parks, there's the
but
multimedia
but
aspect
with
of it. Like
of
globally,
course.
it's doing well, so you can't even really. I mean,
Oh
it's
no,
not
but
doing as well as it could.
I'm talking about the movies. I'm talking about like these Pixar movies that are coming out. That was a topic on hand. Like I said, they would have never brought Bob back if they were doing a better job without him. So, you know,
Yeah, but
we'll
it's
see
but
what happens in
you
this
can't
Disney
isolate it
war,
to just the
but
movies when yeah, like it's the whole company as to why.
well, yeah,
So
there's a lot of problems with the parks I've been hearing. There's
yeah, I
problems with
think
the parks
that was part of
there's
it
a
too, which
problem
is
with
unrelated.
oh yeah, of course. There was a problem with the rides where it just they were waiting too long online and no one was getting onto the rides and it was being really hectic and annoying. And I heard, I don't know if this is true, but I've been hearing that fast passes aren't really as fast as they were. But that might have changed
Yeah, I mean,
since Bob took
I've heard
over.
that the value has been kind of shittier at Disney too.
Yeah, which is very unfortunate.
Yeah,
I
it does
listen.
suck,
I
but
love a lot of Disney stuff. I'm a big Star Wars guy. Big Star Wars guy. So it's like for me, I want Disney to do well because I want Star Wars to do well. But except for the sequels,
they'll
but
be
you know,
fine. Don't worry about it.
yeah,
They'll be
but
fine.
yeah, but yeah. I
They're a
mean, whatever
multi-billion-dollar
happens.
company. I don't
Oh, they're
really
gonna be.
like.
They're
It's a
gonna be
very
fine.
funny thing to see, like
Oh, I don't think they're gonna
it.
ever go down. You know what I mean, though.
And the
I
other
just
thing, I
don't
mean,
want certain shows to be cut, is what I'm saying. That are upcoming shows that I want to see get cut.
we're talking about Disney. We're not
You
talking about
know,
Netflix.
I
I
don't
think you'll
think
be fine.
get them sliced because of you know, some woke movie did bad or some other thing went wrong or something happened with the
I think if
parks.
their woke stuff goes bad, then they'll just triple down on like the safe Star Wars shit. So you'll be fine.
Oh, so I can't wait to watch A New Hope for like the seventh time.
Yeah, but hey, I mean, it's a thing. DeSantis is going after Disney. It's not very effective, and I mean, even if it is, like, what is he really gonna get out of it? Like Disney, I mean, the absolute worst thing is, I guess, Disney closes Florida park, which would suck for them, and obviously the people that work there, more importantly. But like DeSantis is treating this as like some I'm sticking up to the woke corporations. I'm a macho populist guy, but it's a sham. But
I mean, we'll
just
see
more
what happens
posturing
with
to run for
DeSantis. I mean,
president.
he's definitely going through a lot of stuff right now. He has a lot on his plate, and it could be because he's running for president. And
Yeah,
speaking of
lots of
running for
pudding.
president, the pudding, a lot of pudding.
Lot of
Three
pudding.
fingers in, three fingers. DeSantis. There's no like catchy phrase you can say for that. Like three fingers DeSantis or three Santis maybe.
Yeah,
Maybe.
he
So if no one knows about what it was a joke or
what the fuck we're
something,
talking about?
yeah. Need to know what we're talking about. Is like apparently he was caught putting like three fingers in pudding, right?
Yeah,
And so that came to light just randomly. And whether it was a joke or whether it actually happened and all that. You know what it reminds me of? And you know what
what?
exactly it reminds me of? Two Scoops. Remember Two Scoops? They were making fun of Trump
Yeah,
for taking two scoops of ice cream, the dumbest thing you could ever okay, you took two scoops of ice cream. Who gives a fuck? So did
I think
Joe.
this is a
You
little
know what
bit
I mean?
worse than two scoops. The
What? What you
the
think? Three?
fucking finger pudding.
Yeah, I
It's
prefer a
fingers and
spoon.
pudding.
I mean, it's gross. No, I don't like that. And if you know how I am, trust me. Spoon, you have a spoon on hand when you eat pudding. I mean, this is just what are you, a child? But
Yeah.
it's
But this is like
hilarious.
honestly, I don't even think this is true. Like this could very well be fake, but I think this is the perfect like thing for Trump to just take and run with. And he
Yes,
did, as we're about to say, like we can't show it, but he released an ad where he basically like uses the like he's scooping his fingers into the pudding. And he's not only scooping for pudding, he's also scooping for your grandma's entitlements. They're gonna cut Social Security, they're gonna cut Medicaid. And this is just the next step in freaking Trump's like Democrat critiques of Ron DeSantis.
it's a great advertisement.
It is a very good advertisement, though. I mean, if I wish that like the Democrats could come up with something that fucking funny, dude.
No, they
Like,
don't.
I think they might have actually. This guy might have never been governor if they had people like that running their ads.
Liberals don't meme. You know this.
True.
They're
Um.
terrible at it.
Yeah. He's really taken a beating. We've talked about how bad the poll numbers are for him now. Like Trump's at like 60% in every poll because of the indictment. And I was showing Chris before we started recording that like people who I don't, they're basically against Trump, so they're probably supporting him. They released an attack ad against Trump where they kind of call him out for being a gun grabber because he talks about red flag laws and oh well maybe we shouldn't suck up to the NRA every second, which is really a clip they use, a clip of him being like, yeah, I have to stand up to the NRA sometimes. It's like, ooh, he's like, you're making him look better. you
Yeah,
know?
he's standing up to a company. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's pretty poor ad. I mean, if you're gonna attack Trump, there's like much better things to attack him on. You could attack him on like outsourcing.
But I think that ad reflects the character of DeSantis, just like boring, right? Where like DeSantis is not as fun as Trump. Trump is a lot of fun. You watch Trump, you're gonna get a laugh. You're gonna get a hee hee ha ha. You're gonna get a lot of things with it. When you watch DeSantis, you're gonna get a oh okay.
Well,
You
it
know what I
wasn't
mean? Like
the pro DeSantis ad explicitly though. He's not officially running yet. And honestly,
it's
at this
not,
point,
but it's his super PAC that did it.
like,
You know?
is he even gonna run?
Yeah, he filed. Didn't I show it to you on Twitter? He
He did.
filed, I think. Yeah.
I gotta look
You
this up.
you check that up right now. I believe that
Yeah.
because you know what? Someone made a joke about it, saying that his middle name was oh I forgot what his middle name is. You could check it on your DMs. You could definitely check it out.
Okay. No, he is not. There was reports of it. He did not.
Oh, he didn't.
No, it was fake. Yeah.
What a shame.
Okay, I was like, I would
Well,
have
that
seen that
whole
like
thing's all gone.
everywhere.
Everything I just said is fake news.
Fake
Everyone
news.
is fake
Fake
news. I'm spreading false news. Fake
Yes, he
news. We
is.
are fake
So he has
media.
not filed, and at this point, it's looking
Ah,
like he shouldn't run. I think we talked about this, like he shouldn't run. And Trump has
man.
been going into Florida, going to like senators and congressmen and people like House people, saying, "Yeah, endorse me, endorse me." A lot of them are endorsing him. Matt Gaetz endorsed him. Brian Donalds endorsed him. Some others in the House endorsed him. Like he's really just making it impossible for this guy. Like, yeah, I mean, I like when I saw him kind of like being talked about, I kind of felt like he was like the conservative equivalent to Kamala, where it was like pundits
No,
were
don't
really
you
talking her.
compare him to Kamala. That's
Yeah,
a
I'm doing it. I'm doing it.
no, you can't do that. I
I will
will
say, well, no,
no,
it's actually very similar if
no.
you think about it too, because early on she was really pandering to like the base of the party. Like she was one of the co-sponsors of Medicare for All, fun fact.
Well,
And
yeah.
she was rated the most like left-leaning like it was a really stupid metric, but early people would like say like, "Oh, she's more of a leftist than Bernie Sanders," because she was voted more left, like the most left voting representative. Like the metric was stupid, but like it's just to show like that's how she was posturing very early on until it became apparent that like anyone progressive was going to just vote for Bernie or maybe Warren.
Mhm.
So she basically like kind of went to the center. But yeah, I mean, it kind of tracks honestly. Like,
You think so?
I mean, yeah, because
You gonna compare
he's
Kamala Harris and
he's
Ron
appealing to the base.
DeSanctimonious?
He had like a yeah, I will. He's appeals to the base. He's very favored by like establishment conservative media like Fox and like the New
Right.
York Post and stuff like that. Um, his core pitch, though, like despite appealing to the base and being far right, is that he's more electable and seen as kind of like a new face, a centrist, if you will. Even if he's not a centrist, like I feel like in the back of these people's minds, they think he's more centrist because he's not Trump.
So you think that they think that he's more centrist?
And more important, I mean, yeah, right. Like
So,
more
you,
moderate appealing, like because he's not like saying crazy stuff.
bro,
They think he's
you,
more electable, right?
oh my God, that's what I've been saying. I've told
But
you
that's what
this.
they think.
I
I don't
told
think
you
that. I don't
this.
think that though.
Okay, all right, because I was about to rip into you
That's what
just
they
now.
think.
I was
I'm
about to
saying.
rip into you
I
right
know.
now. Oh my god.
I know. But no, I don't think that. But that's what those people who support him, they think, oh, he's more electable. He can get these independents. They're wrong. I think they're completely wrong. But that's why they want him to win. They think he's electable. And
I I think he's more electable than Trump,
more electable, yeah. But I
but in
don't
the
know.
general, you know.
Yeah. Which we can get into in a second. But just to finish my point. Most importantly, as to why he's like Kamala, is he's crashing and burning so fucking hard, dude. He's such a jobber. Like, and the
I
circuit
don't,
was a little bit different because it's kind of weird, but like there's
because
just
she crashed and
nothing
burned
for
after
him.
getting elected, and he's doing it before. But I don't
What do you
know.
mean after? There was who was
Well,
she
she
elected to?
VP.
No,
She
she
was
crashed
picked.
and
She was
burned
picked.
way before that.
She did, but she was picked. She
She
got the
like
job. She got
in
the
like
job though.
2019, CNN had like a power ranking or whatever for 2020 contenders. She was number one.
That's
She
insane.
was like Bernie was like 6, Biden was like 2 or 3, and she was 1.
Well,
And she didn't even make it to like any primary. She was like polling like bottom 3 in California.
Tulsi got rid of her so fast.
Yeah, but she got rid of herself too. If it wasn't Tulsi, it would have been
Oh
someone
yeah.
else. Like she
Oh
just
yeah.
wasn't.
But she was the
I
one that
think
really
DeSantis
ripped
is very
in.
similar. I think, and hey, I mean maybe you'll have some. Maybe he'll run and he'll get to a debate, and some like guy that will endorse Trump like 10 seconds after dropping out will rip into DeSantis the way Tulsi did to
Maybe.
fucking
I mean,
Kamala.
I don't know. I think he's a better candidate than Kamala Harris. In a sense,
I don't think
in a
so.
sense of electability. Yeah, I would say so.
I don't think so. No.
Like, I wouldn't compare him to
I
Kamala Harris
mean,
like that.
maybe he fits the
Kamala
demographics
Harris
of like the
is
Midwest a
like,
little bit better, but even then, it's like to the extent at all, it's because I mean he can appeal to like the like working class, fuck the liberal type of people that Trump got, but that's not a winning coalition because they like Trump style people keep losing.
I I'm gonna have to agree to disagree with you on that one.
Yeah, and again, I mean right now, there's a lot of like battleground state polling that shows Biden beating Trump but losing to DeSantis. But even that, I think, come like if DeSantis somehow won the general, and even assuming Trump doesn't like go nuclear on them, I think even a situation where it's just the entire Republican Party, including Trump and all them, supporting DeSantis, I think Biden still is favored to win because he's the incumbent,
Mm.
and DeSantis would have to like account for things like abortion, things like being extreme on social issues and all that stuff.
That should be interesting because I think Trump's more lenient on it. He said for rape, incest. He said yeah, no, you
It's
get that
funny how that
abortion.
works, isn't it? Because I mean,
Yeah,
on the he's he's more toxic. He's way worse on he's more conspiratorial, and he has all this election crap. But I mean, in a lot of ways, he's more moderate, right? Because and this is the problem with the GOP primary too. It's like not just DeSantis, but Nikki Haley and all these guys running too. Is they're like, I'm different from Trump. And then they're like, I'm different because I want to cut Social Security, and I think that rich people actually are good for society. And it's like, well, no, you're
yeah.
like,
I don't know how they're. Listen, like I said, we talked about this. What I think maybe it was one of last week's
yeah, we
episodes
talked about it.
where it's that they're just trying to get their name out there. So, but look, DeSantis, um, I think that he has a chance in a general. Him versus Disney is interesting, um, and I think that he could appeal to somewhat more moderate people than Trump. But maybe after what we just said, maybe not. Um,
And also I don't know, right now his instincts are just so far are just so in the conservative bubble too.
his instincts aren't
Like we just talked about those two
really.
ads. Like Trump had like a pretty normie like
To be fair, but
sounding
you just
kind
said
of
it.
ad.
To be fair, you just said that it wasn't his ad.
Yeah,
It
you're right.
wasn't DeSantis' ad. So I mean, I don't know. We'll see.
Well, okay, but even if the ads is a good example, I mean, there's plenty of other examples though of him being more in sync with like the needs of the right wing base. Compared, also like, look, he just signed a freaking 6-week abortion ban, like we talked about, like to appeal
He
to
did do that.
that base. And you just said abortion's an issue where it's like it's a loser for them and Trump's better on it.
This is true.
This
This is true.
he's better on it because rhetorically he knows like, well, I'm not a fucking idiot. I'm gonna like not like there should be exceptions for race and instance. I'm not gonna fucking say that there should be a national abortion ban, but he's the reason we don't have Roe and Wade anymore. Like the direct reason. So it's like one of those give or take things. But rhetorically he knows compared to DeSantis who was like, oh well, I'll just say a 6-week ban and it'll like meet the people in the middle when literally everyone on both sides will just be like, you're fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Our piece. That's our
Yes,
weekly
that's our piece.
DeSantis is an idiot rant.
Oh man, I feel like we talk about DeSantis all the time now. I mean, we're going to
He's
be. We're gonna be. He's gonna be our weekly. He's gonna be our
he's
weekly. Him
running.
and
I
Trump
mean,
are our
anyone
weekly.
who's running that gets the attention. Maybe we'll start talking about Marianne. That should be next. The tone will be a little
He'll be
different,
next.
unfortunately, for the conservatives that might be watching. Speaking of a Republican that can actually win her race, let's move on to Kari Lake, who was the governor nominee for the Republicans in 2022. She was winning until she wasn't. She basically was leading the polls up to election day, but then Democrats overperformed and she lost. So she basically went on a Trump-style "Stop the Steal, I actually won" tour, running around telling everyone she won when she didn't. And she's gained quite a bit of prominence as a result of this. Multiple appearances at Mar-a-Lago, lots of appearances at Trump rallies. Really, Trump's kind of noticing, and more importantly, the base is noticing because they released a poll to see who Republican voters would be interested in voting for 2024. Kari Lake holds a 38% lead, which is like 28 points ahead of the person in second place, Karine Taylor Robinson, another governor contender for Republicans last time at 10%. Mark Lamb and Blake Masters at 8 and 7 respectively, which was the former Senate nominees for the Republicans in 2022 who lost their races. So yeah, I mean, there's also two others, Abe Hamada at 4 and Jim Lamone at 3. So, but needless to say, Kari Lake definitely a star among the conservatives. Normally, I wouldn't really talk about every single poll and every possible race in the country, but I think this is of interest because the current senator that she would likely be running against is Kristen Sinema, who's a former Democrat. Basically, ran a sort of progressive, like grassrootsy Democrat. Like, yeah, we're gonna raise like the minimum wage. We're gonna fight for prescription drugs to go down and all this good stuff. She gets elected and immediately gets money from pharmaceutical companies and just betrays all of that. Pretty good example, I think, of like a grifter, like on the left, nominally speaking, or on the liberal side, because a lot of grifters are Republican, as Chris likes to talk about. But hey, I mean, she kind of grifted to get to power, had the power, and then got kind of bought out really easily. So as a result, the Democrats of Arizona hate her. The Republicans, of course, I mean, she was a Democrat and she's like bisexual or whatever, so they think she's like demonic or whatever, so they hate her too. So it's a really interesting spot because there's already Democrats running against, or at least one. Um, Republicans are obviously going to have a contested primary because they want to flip this seat in 2024. It's really important. There's a lot of important seats for the Senate in 2024, and they don't know, or we don't know who Kristen Sinema would take votes from because it looks unlikely that she would be able to win just due to how unpopular she's become. So, and because she's kind of more like moderate, quote unquote, aka more corporate, it's really possible that either party could really win depending on how the race plays out and what people are really thinking about. Because, you saw in 2022 with the abortions, with, some of the more fringe culture war stuff, even like some like factory job trends in the Midwest really help Democrats like overperform pretty drastically. But it's also true. I mean, the economy is not in the best shape right now, so that can lead people to want to vote more Republican. So it definitely an interesting dynamic, and that's all I really have to say about it. Have anything to add?
Yeah. I don't know if you mentioned percentages, but in the same poll, it found that Trump was leading DeSantis in Arizona 47% to 24%.
It's definitely one
And
of the better polls for him,
yeah, definitely
which is
for
really sad.
DeSantis. Yeah. And then you have 29% of that Kari Lake poll that you just put out. 29% of them were undecided. So it's definitely an interesting dynamic. But like you said, she's really become the party, I guess, leader in Arizona, right? The Republican Party
In
leader in
Arizona,
Arizona.
absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, she has a lot of love behind her in the Republican Party. A lot of people are really looking to how she lost and saying, yeah, you know what, maybe it was rigged and this and that, and she's also carrying that
I don't
into,
think they're looking into it. I think they're just saying it.
they carrying it into, her next race. So whatever the next race is, uh, she's gonna play that role, and she's gonna tell people, hey, listen, I got cheated the last time, but it won't happen this time, and you know how it goes. So she's leading the polls. It'll be interesting to see if she actually wins. I don't know if she wins in general, but Arizona is very contested right now. So yeah, it's been leading Democrat. Democrat's been winning. Okay, but it really is contested. So it's
Yeah,
some sort of this
this is a
swing
true
state.
contested one.
Yeah, so it could be very interesting, and maybe like Kari Lake won some people over. So we'll see what happens there.
I don't know if it's weird because I feel like Arizona is historically like a more kind of conservative-esque state, but I feel like the Trump fringes have been kind of taking over to an extent where it's making it easier for Democrats to win, which would be interesting. I think this is a little, like I said, this race is a little different because there's going to be like an independent who's an incumbent, so it'll really make the vote shares a bit weird.
Yeah.
But like we said, I mean, it'll be interesting to see. Definitely one of the races to look out for 2024. It's a while away though. I don't think this is really going to get the amount of prep time as the presidential race is getting. But when we're there, it'll definitely be a pretty big thing to talk about.
You know what she really could have been? She could have been VP for Trump.
I mean, she still can be. It's not too
I mean,
late.
I guess she still can be. It'll be interesting. I think he's gonna pick a woman this time.
I think so. I think I forget what state she's the governor of, but I've heard Kristi Noem would be a good one because
Hmm.
she's probably not going to do shit. And she's like really like I think she like was one of the first people to like go after DeSantis
Ooh,
before Trump himself.
that
And
should
she
be
was like,
interesting.
because she's a governor, so she was like, I'm the better governor on COVID, and I
But of
actually kept things
course,
open, and blah blah
you
blah.
you need someone that's a little bit like toned down and like man or woman has to be like a little bit more submissive, I guess, to like Trump because Trump has to be like you know,
I mean, they all
the
are.
guy,
It doesn't
right? No, no,
matter.
no, no,
All
no.
literally
But
all of
like,
them are.
but like specifically, he has to be the guy. Like, I can never see Trump and DeSantis run on the same card. You know what I mean? Like, I can't see
Yeah.
that. I feel like there's some kind of like ego lift there where it's like there needs to be someone who doesn't care as much for their ego or whatever it is, comparatively to Trump. Like Mike Pence. Who was Mike Pence? Do you even know who the hell Mike Pence was before he ran? So, unless you lived in the state. So, I mean, that's what I think he's gonna go for because I think that's his best bet because he is the mouthpiece. He
He's gonna
doesn't
go for
need a
Ron
mouthpiece.
for Pence.
You think he's gonna go?
No, he's not.
No, of course not. But yeah, it should definitely be interesting, and it should also be interesting as we talked about the election. Uh, Fox and Dominion have reached a settlement in a lawsuit for $787 million. Now, that's a lot of money. And
Yeah.
there was a lot at stake here, mostly for Fox News, because Fox News, as you know, is a very conservative leading channel. So when you have people, and we talked about this previously on the podcast, so we've been keeping up with this case, where it got leaked. Tucker Carlson, Hannity, and Ingram in the group chat got together and they said, well, we don't believe that the election was rigged. And then Tucker said he didn't like Trump. And so this all came down, and I guess they had to reach a settlement here because there's a chance that either one of them or all three of them and more would have to testify in court. And I don't think that they would have wanted that. So they had to reach a settlement. And they said this is their statement. The court's rulings finding certain claims about Dominion to be false. They did say that. They didn't apologize, but they did say that. And I don't think they're going to post an apology because they don't have to. They don't have to do that. It's already settled.
Yeah,
They're already giving them the money. I mean, it's all over.
They're also saying it's kind of like odd how quickly they kind of like went from doing a trial to switching it up to like, oh, one that we're doing the settlement. But at the same time, I mean, it's like legal. It's really weird. Like things can happen really fast.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I do wonder what else Dominion's getting out of this though, because it's not because they were suing Fox for like $1.6 billion, which is a lot.
I heard it was 1.6 billion. Yeah,
that's like, I mean, that's like a lot of like profits they probably would have made around that time, right? Like that's probably inaccurate.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, 7 million is 700 million isn't really anything to scoff at either, though, when it comes to lawsuits.
Oh, dude, that's still a lot of money, man.
I do wonder, like, do they get anything else out of it? Just because
I think they're supposed
they
to.
could have gotten more. I guess maybe the cost of like maintaining it would have not been worth it for them. That's the only thing I could think of, though. Is
yeah, I think
because I'm sure Fox could like out-lawyer Dominion, I would assume.
I think the problem was, and I think I said it earlier, with having Tucker Carlson and all these people having to testify. I think they want to prevent that. I think once they reach that, they're like, all right, that's it.
Well, that's what Fox wants to prevent, but I'm saying for Dominion's point of view, like, why would they not want that?
Well, I think that there's supposed to be more into it, actually. I think I saw that it was something that they may get, but it hasn't been disclosed yet. So they might be getting something else as well. I mean, it makes sense. It like 787 million is a lot of money, but again, the way they were after them, it's kind of like they would want a little bit more than maybe money. I don't know what exactly it is, but hell, it could be an apology on TV, which would be quite interesting. But
be funny.
I don't think so.
Actually, one of the I think it was Caputo, which is kind of funny, but I think he was gonna make like a special like debunking the election rig stuff, but obviously they're not gonna want that.
Yeah. Wow, that would have been crazy.
But yeah, one of the because there are posts who are more kind of like, okay, like maybe we should kind of not do this crazy stuff.
Oh yeah.
I mean, clearly it was the money, but they followed it, and now they gotta pay them out anyways.
Yeah, so all that money they made off of it, they gotta have to give back. So, and probably plus some. So, but the Dominion case is now settled, and if anything else comes out after it, with the, whatever Dominion gets out of it, we'll definitely present it here. That's all I have to say on that. Yeah. I don't know if you have anything to add.
No, I mean that's all there is to it.
So the last thing I want to talk about, and this inherently isn't political, right? What I'm about to say,
political,
but everything is political, right? So I don't know if if you're older, you probably don't care the reason why, but Drake, the music artist, right? No, like woke culture thing. We're not gonna get into that. There's nothing there. He got upset because he heard his voice on a song that was made by Ice Spice. So he heard it was AI generated, and once he heard that, I think he said something along the line like, "This is the final straw." And the Universal Music Group asked streaming services to block AI companies from accessing its music. So there's a lot of stuff going on, and I'm gonna get into the political part in a second. There's a song that just came out recently, and it was called "Heart on My Sleeve," and it was by Drake and The Weeknd, right? And it appears to it was originally shared, I think, on TikTok, It was by a YouTuber, and it was on YouTube. It was by a guy named Ghostwriter. He said this is the beginning as like the original caption to it, and he pinned it on a YouTube comment. And he also said that he was a ghostwriter for years and got paid close to nothing just from major labels to profit. So it's a very interesting dynamic that he did that. He made AI Drake and The Weeknd have a song together. The Weeknd was a feature on it. And why is this political? Well, it's very simple. It's AI. And if AI can get the patterns down of a rapper or a musician or an artist or anybody, then that means anybody could have AI be done to them. AI is going to be a problem. We say this. I mean, I knew it was going to be a problem. I know Andrew knew it was going to be a big deal, and it is. So, yeah, the song may sound great and all, but the aftermath of this is going to be insane. So, this is just to keep an eye open out. Uh, just know that AI can be good, but there's going to be a lot more cons than pros to this. We have reached a new level in technology that is mainstream and open to the public, where when more people start to use this, there's going to be more problems. And this is something that we have to look at and keep an eye open on, because you can't sleep on this. You cannot. It's gonna be, and the whole AI stuff with the presidents, we think is hilarious. Me and Andrew will watch those videos. We think it's great, and they're funny. They really are funny. But there's gonna come a time where people are gonna use that against other people, whether it be court cases or just in general. It's gonna be really, really bad. So that's what I have for that. It has nothing to do with just music. It really does have it's gonna have a role in society. If you don't think it has already, Chat
Definitely
GPT,
already has.
and absolutely, and it's really gonna be something. So just
I
be
think
careful out
too. I
there.
mean, the problem with this is like they're kind of. I mean, like from the sound of this, I don't really know how we should really take this anonymous person at their word. But I mean, they made an impressive sounding work of art with AI.
Hmm.
But
Oh yeah, I don't know if what he said was true that he was actually a
like he's saying,
ghostwriter,
like
but
I mean, it sounds like he's kind of using this as like retribution for
yeah.
the music industry and whatever. And there are people who try to use like frame AI as like, oh, they're like this is how we're gonna like stick it up to these corporations and do things bottom up. But I mean, if AI is anything like the internet itself, it's gonna very quickly get gobbled up by like the people at the top, um, and kind of be used in ways to maximize their profits. Which I mean, with AI, it's a lot more scary than the internet itself because like so many just simple basic jobs are going to get replaced. It was already kind of happening, right? When you look at McDonald's or like
Mm-hmm.
Stop and Shops, like
Oh,
self checkout and all that
absolutely.
stuff. I mean, that was only the part of it, right? Like now you're at a point where people can like just hire someone to like write a song, and even have to like get like a someone to sing it. And, honestly, this in particular, and you showed me the song where they replaced The Weeknd with Michael Jackson. It sounds just like him. Um, like Disney, they have this technology where go back to them, they have technology where it can recreate people's likenesses as CGI,
No
and they were investing in
spoilers. This is
that technology to there's I wasn't gonna go I was gonna use this example, which is honestly a lot worse than the one that you're thinking of. To have like freaking Stan Lee cameos in their movies. He died like ago now, so it's kind of like we're kind of using this to like recreate the voices and the likeness of dead people. That in of itself is kind of like ethically questionable. But then you kind of factor in too. I mean, there's just a lot of like problems with it because you know you're kind of like just shitting on the creative process. Like that's the potential for it. you're kind of like defiling dead people. Even if the person's living, like you said, Drake didn't really consent to being used on the Munch song by Ice Spice. So it's like,
Yeah,
will
no,
this be like a defamation thing? Will this be like a using my likeness thing? Like, there's a lot of
I don't
angles
know.
for it, and it's scary too because I mean, we talked about the TikTok here a couple weeks ago. Like these senators and these Congress people, they don't know how fucking like technology that came out like 20 years ago works, and they're gonna be the people that talk about AI.
Yeah, dude, that's.
They're gonna legislate
Oof.
AI. Like, what are they gonna do? I mean, crypto they barely even get to, and that's like a whole other thing when it comes. That's like modern.
I know people want to ban AI, and it's like it's definitely an
I
interesting
don't know
topic.
if banning it would work or if that's really like. I don't really like AI.
How
Like,
would that
it's
even
funny
work?
because our thumbnails AI art, but I'm not like a fan of it really.
Well,
Like,
it
just
makes
in the
sense. I
concept
mean,
of it.
our stuff is AI art because that's really what that's the direction we're going into as like a society. We're going to a lot of AI stuff, a lot of technological stuff. So like our stuff, yeah, our thumbnails at the current moment they look cool because they have the AI stuff, but it's really there because it's like, well, this is really happening. Like this is the future. This is
But also, I mean,
actually
we used
not
it
not.
because it was a
It's
it
not
was a
just the
quick
future.
it was a
This is
quick and
actually the
affordable
present.
way. Yeah, it was a
Oh,
quick
of
and
course.
affordable way to get a cool looking picture of us.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
you know, but
So I
that's not
mean,
like sustainable, right? From like a capitalistic point of view, because people are gonna lose their jobs. And then like from a human point of view, it's like you're kind of like if you can just type in whatever, I mean, you're kind of losing the expression part of the art because you're kind of just like having like a machine shit out a bunch of pictures and you just choose what looks best, what you think looks best.
yeah.
Um,
It could
yeah,
get ugly. It could definitely get ugly. Yeah, it could do, and you said it earlier to me before we started recording is that it could be soulless.
yeah. I mean,
I mean, that's
absolutely.
probably the best way to describe certain AI art. Um,
I mean, all of
I
it's soulless,
think,
really.
yeah. I mean, yeah. I think though that there's some uses that could be good.
It could be cool and it could be
I
like
yeah.
enjoyable, but inherently, because it's not like there. I mean, it's
The
I don't
problem
know because
is that it's gonna
like
come to a
art,
time where
yeah, art is
it
like you need like someone to like make it, like come up with the idea,
yeah.
plan it out, draw it, like not just type in a prompt and then be like, okay, I like this art style, I'm gonna use this art style, and then that's it. Like you want someone who draws art style because that's how they express themselves. That's what
Yeah.
they, or they want to like do whatever. It's yeah, I don't know. Like it's the whole like all AR art is kind of soulless.
The
And when it comes
only
to the songs, I mean, I think the production on the song had to have been made by the guy. Like, was that also AI generated?
I don't know, I guess. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he
I
did
don't
it.
know. I mean, he might have like produced it
Yeah.
himself, especially because he said he was like a songwriter for the industry.
Yeah.
So maybe he's a producer and he doesn't get shafted. I don't know. And then he was like just to fuck with these people. He like used their voices. I was gonna say too. I mean, like the voices part of it too. It's like maybe soulless isn't the right word for that, but it can be because that sounds like those sound like songs you could hear on the radio.
That's what I'm saying. Like
Like
there's some
imagine like
things
yeah, imagine
where
like a world where like
that didn't feel
they just
soulless.
produce.
Yeah.
Eh,
I don't know. To me, it didn't feel as soulless. But I think what I was gonna say before is I think the biggest problem with it is that it's not that it's AI and we can use it for good and all this other stuff. It's also it's gonna come to a point where we can't tell what's real and what's fake.
well, yeah, that's another concern.
That's the
Like
biggest concern.
obviously the president shit is funny, but then it's not funny when like Epic Late Troll guy freaking makes like a Biden draft AI deep fake.
Yeah. I
you
mean,
know, which I mean,
it's gonna get
like
dangerous
yeah, like right now
very
it's
easily.
it's at least enough to where if you're trained, you can kind of tell, but it's definitely gonna get a lot harder to tell next like couple
Oh,
years.
it's gonna get very hard to tell.
Yeah.
So, and that's just technology. Technology only grows, and that's really where I stand on there. So, AI, just keep your eyes open, man. I can't stress it enough. It's already going to be a problem as it is, so just make sure it doesn't become a problem towards you. That makes sense.
However, you can do that.
Yeah, however you could do that, but we'll see if people want to ban AI or ban certain, I guess pieces of art. I mean, it depends because then also you do the AI stuff, be like, oh well, I actually count it as a parody. What is a parody? There's a lot of different we're gonna be questioning definitions and stuff in court, and it's gonna be just a confusing, and it's gonna be an actual nightmare. It's gonna be an actual nightmare to do any of this stuff. So AI is here. This is not the future. This is the present. This is the present, and that's scary
Yeah,
because
when it comes to AI,
we
though,
want
I
the
mean,
future to be
it's the
here,
present.
but not like this.
When it comes to AI, I think the worst is yet to come.
The worst is yet to come. That's a fact. And I think that's the best way to leave it off.
Yep. Fun show today.
Oh yeah, definitely a fun show. We had a lot of topics I feel like we talked about, which is great.
Yeah, we went through a lot.
So we thank you guys for tuning in. If you're listening to us on YouTube, give us that nice thumbs up.
Thumbs up,
Give us a
subscribe.
subscribe. And if you're listening to us through any other piece of media like Spotify or any type of audio, yeah, give us a like there too and follow us and all that good stuff. And with that, we'll be heading out. So you guys have a good rest of your day or a good night.
Yep.
And we will see you next time. Peace out.